Meta laid off 1,500 workers from its Reality Labs division last week as it moves away from its vision for a future in the metaverse and funnels billions into AI. So how did CEO Mark Zuckerberg go from naming his company after the metaverse to pulling away from it? Yahoo Finance tech editor Dan Howley is here to break it all down. Dan, where did it all go wrong for Meta's metaverse? Dan, walk me through it.
Yeah, Josh, according to some experts I spoke to, it kind of started out right from the beginning. When Mark Zuckerberg basically laid out his vision for the metaverse, it was kind of this futuristic platform where he talked about you being able to do things like play games remotely with friends, but not as you would today, as though you would actually play with a hologram. And so there were these grandiose ideas of maybe having meetings as, different types of avatars, but it really just kind of fell on its face when kind of put to the test. I remember there were memes about avatars having no legs and how that was going to be a big upgrade for the service. Not exactly something you want out of a technology that's supposed to be groundbreaking. And so they seem to have moved away from this idea of the metaverse, though they are continuing to sell their headsets. It just doesn't seem as though that market is exactly going to be the hot thing that it originally was poised to when Meta made this announcement.
How smart, Dan, in your opinion, would be Meta's pivot to smart glasses? Like, how would you judge that? And what are the risks if they don't actually take off?
Yeah, I mean, look, the risk is that they've invested billions of dollars into Reality Labs. Part of that was part of the metaverse effort, and now they're moving some of that savings that they're having from these layoffs into the idea of these wearables. This, the Meta Ray-Ban display and the regular Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Those are the ones with just the camera that you can listen to music. The display has a built-in display in of itself, and that little wrist controller that you're seeing there. They see that as kind of the future of consumer tech. It's a big deal, and it is proof that their investments, at least in the metaverse technologies, have paid off. It appears to be doing well. People are interested in it. We have other companies going into the space like Google, Samsung, and Apple reportedly. And so there's going to be increased competition, but is this going to replace the smartphone? Probably not. It'll probably be an accessory similar to a smart watch. Now, Meta really wants to be in control of its own fate. It's battled with the likes of Apple and Google for years over different app store rules that they have to abide by when they have their apps loaded onto those different devices. And so being able to control their own fate through their hardware would be a huge boon for them, and something that Mark Zuckerberg has wanted to do for quite some time.
I'll get you out of here on this, Dan. Big picture, do you look at the metaverse and say, that's over, we can close the book, or no?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, right? Because there's this idea that the metaverse isn't just this singular technology, that it's going to be an evolution of the internet and how we interact with it down the line, right? And so, you have to think what Meta was pitching didn't really land, but there's still plenty of companies out there that are working on this idea. And so there could be a metaverse in the future where maybe, we're able to move through these interconnected worlds that were originally pitched, but potentially not, right? Maybe not in that way. It could be how we interact with the internet via different screens that we see, or perhaps with the idea of smart glasses or things along those lines. So I think it's really just different areas of the internet will be available and visible, not just on 2D screens that we currently have, rather than the idea of us floating through some wormhole or something into the internet like Ready Player One.
All right, Dan, great stuff as always. Thank you.